stuff on the first time we tried to start recording, but that got ruined. It was ruined. But anyways, now we're here and we're about to get started on a show. Mike, it's your intro, so get all hot and bothered about it. And let's get going. Good, Bad, or Bullshit, episode 174. We'll record in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the Good, Bad, or Bullshit podcast. Random topics, unrehearsed conversation, quality reviews. My name is Mike Hodgins. I'm one of your three hosts on this show, along with the one and only Bo Schwartz. Hello, Bo.
Hello, Michael. Hello, Good, Bad, or Bullshit listeners. Finally glad to be here.
The always gregarious Bo, and of course, Mr. Crofton Steers. Hello, Crofton. How are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm more svelte and aerodynamic than usual. For those of you who are listening to the audio version of this show, you're missing out on a sharp new haircut.
Did you?
It is new. I'll give you that.
Did you have your nether regions match what you've done with the top?
Bo.
He said he was more aerodynamic. I assume that you need to shave more than your head to be aerodynamic.
Is that what you do when you go to the barber? You're like, all right, now that you finished up top, let's just drop my drawers and just give me the number one all over. Thank you, Bob.
So if you're playing Good, Bad, or Bullshit board game at home, and one of the categories is how quick Bo can take us into the gutter, well, this might be a new record. I think we were maybe 20 seconds. Maybe 20 seconds?
Like my second sentence. The second sentence, folks, I think.
Yeah. Well,
third,
that was impressive,
maybe?
Bo. Just straight there. Next time when it's your intro, you'll just open it up and be like, "Hello, everybody, balls, sex,
Balls.
penis."
Look, when someone talks about a haircut, I do start thinking about the other hair that could be cut. I don't know why. Like, I've got a thing right now. My big thing is making sure my ears are shaved. I've got a special ear shaving device now because it gets really hairy, and I'm getting older, and there's hair in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like. You can't see it. I can't look in my ears. And I don't have a significant other, so I don't have someone to be like, dude, shave your hair. You know, people don't tell you that. People don't really look in your ear. But if you do see people's ears, and I'm just like, man, there's a mitt full of hair in there. I better get rid of that. So
Well, I mean,
also
everyone
nose
has
hairs.
different-
I use it on my nose too.
Listeners, I am so sorry.
No, this is
Talking
adult
about-
stuff. Yeah, people got to shave their body hair.
This will make a good compliment to the episode where you started by talking about your lactose intolerance.
Oh God, I still have that. You know, I still eat ice cream. It's shameful.
I also want to point out how whenever Bo does an intro, he always uses that quote, which I think is a really good one, which is, what is it? Conversation is the foundation of higher thought.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, sometimes it's not, though. Sometimes it's not.
In Bo's case, it's the foundation for poo.
Sometimes it's just, words are coming out of your mouth. That's sometimes all it is. There's no thought involved.
All right.
Speaking of words coming out of our mouths, last week we ended up doing was it last week?
It was
Feels
last
like a long
week.
time ago.
It was
Well,
last
we
week.
did the Donald Trump election episode, and it's been a while since we actually did a random topic.
Yeah,
Feels
yeah,
like
feels
it's
2 weeks. We just skipped the 1 week, but still, going 1 week without a random topic is weird because we've been doing this for 3 years.
It's like going a week without sunshine.
Or shaving your ears.
Uh-oh.
I like how lame your stuff was. I thought you were gonna say like sex or beer or like going a week without,
So I was like, I can go easy 3 weeks without sex.
Keeping it classy. That's what I do with my new haircut.
Yeah, you're quite the professional now. You're a professional young man, and we're all proud of you. For that,
It is
Crofton.
funny how Crofton is like, his career is like upwardly mobile. And he's doing well, and he looks clean cut, and well to do. And Bo and I both look like homeless people, and I am unemployed, and Bo is.
Mike's more on the Mike's more on the homeless side. I'm more on the neighborhood sex offender side.
Yeah, Gucci
I would
always
say-
kind of slants you that way.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I always feel very self-conscious that people think I'm like the local sex offender when they see me, and
Is it because of those posters I keep putting up?
what? You put posters up, Crofton?
Have you seen this man?
The joke, you can
Hanging
take
out
a joke
at the
too
elementary
far.
school, Bo. There's
take
other
it-
places to hang out.
Take a joke too
It's
far,
true.
guys.
It's true, actually. Like I'm looking at this visual. Again, apologies, audio listeners, and I recognize that A couple of weeks ago, I had long, shaggy hair, and I'm not even sure if I had shaved recently. Today, I have shaved, and I have short hair, so it's quite a stark difference. We did what didn't we do? Have we done beards on this show or facial hair? We did that,
We
right?
did
We did
beards.
beards.
Yeah. I don't remember
I
what we
can't remember
said,
what
but
I said.
clearly it was good. Clearly it was good.
I don't know. I think I said they were bullshit. And earlier today, I was eating stew, and the like juice was dripping into my beard. And I'm like, man, beards are stupid.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I always try to have one at this time of year, so I'm gonna keep it for another month or something.
all right. Well, I think I have a hard time imagining myself without facial hair. I just can't go
I
back.
think it works for you. It's become part of your identity. I'm just like,
Yeah,
and
hides
same with
your
the
face.
and for me
Exactly.
in the long hair thing too. Like right now, I have long hair, but pretty much I cut it once a year, and then I've noticed that if you don't cut your hair for a year, it gets long again, and so that's just what happens with me. I'm like, I get my yearly haircut, and then I'm all good.
I'm on 4 months. I cut them every 4 months and then let it grow back.
Man, the haircutting industrial complex has got you by the balls. You're like, this
I
guy
guess
is cash
so.
for life every 4 months.
Every 4 months, I can send my kids to college.
Your
Okay,
sweet $100. All right. Yeah, I think you're right, Mike. We need to do a random topic. Crofton, you want to, or no? Mike's queuing it up, and I stole his job.
Yeah,
from
I
him.
get the machines ready to go.
Let me know when you're good to go. Here it goes. You're pulling the string. It's gonna. What a great sound. I'm glad that sound is back.
Yeah.
All right, it's clearing up.
Whew.
There's the ding.
Um,
Love that sound too.
the topic today is commercial space travel.
Oh, okay.
I feel like, it's like Elon Musk and his pet projects. SpaceX. What else is there? Is there really...
Isn't also like what's his name? Like John Asbestos or something? Who's the guy that owns Amazon? Bezos? I think
Oh, man,
Amazon's
that guy is
yeah.
a total jerk. Like Amazon is like the anti-progressive work culture compared to the other like. I read this article about like it's like terrible. Like they encourage like infighting amongst employees, and there's like rat outlines. And anyways, that was neither here nor there. Except Amazon sucks is what is what I meaning of that.
Well, so
Well-
commercial space travel, relatively new thing. It's the concept of private industry as opposed to government getting involved and perhaps even charging private citizens to be able to travel into space. Is that it?
Probably, and well, being commercial, yeah, for sure. It sounds like space tourism is going to be a thing at some point, and already technically has been. Was that rich guy that went up with the Russians quite a while ago? But also beyond that, like if it's commercial, it also just means like maybe it's mining operations in space or like other things like that, I suppose.
Oh, like in The Expanse. Such a great show.
It's funny how like when you think about it though, like how they say money can't buy everything. You know how there's these obscenely rich people like that, just absolutely like mind-bogglingly rich, multi-billion dollars. And then you realize that until recently, like it doesn't matter how much money they had, if they wanted to go to space, they couldn't buy their way into space. Like that was just, they couldn't, set up their own space system or whatever space program. They would have to, lobby a government or I don't know how they'd have to become an astronaut the old-fashioned way. I know no other way up until recently that these giant oligarchs could possibly go into space. So it kind of is it's freeing in a way, meaning that like you don't just have to be super competent and train for multiple years and be beneficial to science to go up into space. Now you just have to have a whole whack of cash.
Well, we're not quite there yet, though, right?
But I mean, that's a direction we're headed. What does like Elon Musk is? He has a vested interest. I think that we can all agree that of the Dr. Evil type of billionaires and the noble heroic type of billionaires, he maybe leans more or towards the noble side. He's less of a Donald Trump and more of an Elon Musk. But he's at the same point, he's not a trained astronaut, nor does Like everything he's doing is based on him being essentially wealthy and having a vested interest in this field.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have the money to do it, then you can do it. I think space travel is still prohibitively expensive. I thought I heard an interview with Elon Musk where he's saying that they're trying to get the price down to $5,000 a pound or something like that. Like they measure the cost of space travel in a per pound thing. They're trying to work to bring down that cost. Essentially, the work going on right now is to actually make it affordable. Because I mean, I guess a rich person could just send himself into space and whatever happens happens. But I think people get rich because they do a little, they go a little bit further than that and say, you know, how can we monetize this for the rest of the world or make it available to some, you know what I mean? Like, so I think right now
Yeah.
the cost is still prohibitive and they're trying to bring it
But
down.
it's also like it also kind of underlies the fact that going, the fact that humans have been in space at all is like a kind of a crazy thing. Um, and it only happened because the governments decided to get behind it, because not only like it's not only just the cost of putting everything together, but all the underlying research that needed to be done about like rocket propulsion, and like it's just, and the aim at the start was like, well, what are you going to do up there, right? You know, where were the commercial interests? But so in some ways, like it makes sense that it couldn't have been commercial before, but now it's like getting to that phase because a lot of that underlying research has been done. We know how to get into space, and basically, if you can probably just access the patents or that the government has, you know, now you can build your own if you have the money. But that couldn't have happened, you know, even a few decades ago because things were still underway. Like
And
it's
I
like it couldn't have started in the commercial uh,
no.
realm because it's just there was no reason to, and the resources were just far too large that were
And
required for the baseline stuff.
I'm conflicted about commercial space travel in the sense of businesses and corporations being involved in it, um, for two reasons. One is the first on the pro side of things. In my mind, I think of like all the progress that was made over the Cold War period during what is known as the space race, where like both the Soviet Union and the Americans were sort of setting these crazy benchmarks in space, and there was a drive and a motivation to do so and to put money into to push science and that sort of thing. It feels like that's long in the past, and now the priorities given to things like NASA are by even a Democratic president like Obama is middling compared to what it used to be, much less a Republican president. Um, Space is not seen as something that they want to invest a ton of money in. On the other hand, um, so you've got like these corporations that might be willing to fill that void and create competition much in the same way that the Soviets competed with the Americans, and that may generate innovation and push things forward, which I think is cool. But on the other hand, I don't like the pay to play sort of mentality, or the idea that private, you know, I'm sort of leery when private corporations control anything, and if they're controlling the next steps in human adventuring into space, that makes me a little uncomfortable. So on one side, competition good. On the other side, corporations make me feel kind
Well,
of dirty.
the competition part that's essential to this is that they're going to find a way to make it affordable. I think space programs have been expensive, prohibitively expensive. I think it's fairly well known that these were not profitable endeavors, but more patriotic. You know, there was a like United States competing with Russia, the race to the moon. So there's a sense that they spared no expense, meaning they didn't put this thing at like diamond level compression think tank of how to bring the cost down. And if anyone can bring costs down, it's people that are profit driven, not public servants, not for profit people, not the academics of the world. It's clearly people who exploit quite wantonly and who can design things to be cost effective. Like, that would be the motivating industry. And then I think once they figured it out, maybe we can make it public, or we can do something with it once it's been in that pressure cooker.
But even that, like, it still, it doesn't really. There's something that doesn't make sense to me about it, in the sense that they're bringing the price down, but where is the money generated? Like, I see how there's a market for satellites. You know, you get some satellites, your telecommunication companies, you want to get your satellites up there. Okay, I get that. That already exists. You know, that companies pay to get, you know, the Russians to go put their satellites up, or whoever. But in terms of bringing people up, like, is the first phase sounds like it's just going to be like tourism for the ultra rich, because even getting that price down, it's still super high, and it's like, what do you get up there? So, you know, and most people are like, yeah, to go into space, I guess it's neat or whatever, but it's not, you know, like, you got other problems or concerns on your mind, because I want to go to the moon. And then beyond that, it's like what are you going to do up there? Or for a commercial enterprise to be like, oh, we need to make it cheaper to go into space, and you're just kind of like, well, why? And I get about the things like high altitude commercial air travel, which is sort of borderline space travel, which will make flying around the planet really quick, where basically the plane goes up and you can get from here to Japan in like 3 hours instead of 15 or something like that. You know, stuff like that, I get how that will be commercialized and make a lot of sense. But, like, people wanting to take a trip to the moon, that's always just going to be massively expensive. And other companies get into it, like I had said, mining and stuff. But I feel like that's a long way off. But, like, you know, some asteroids might have valuable materials on them, but at the moment it seems so outrageously expensive to go there to mine. Like, where's the money coming from? You know, and so when they're developing this, it's like venture capitalists, but I still, you know, putting their money into be like, oh, we'll commercialize space travel, but I still, aside from milking the uber rich, like, where's the money going to come back from? You know, and to repay that investment. It's not like there's stuff up there that you're going to get and be able to sell, really, not in any foreseeable time frame.
No, I think it's clearly just for the reasons you stated, tourism and potentially travel. I had a funny thought while you were saying that, is that a new form of airplane crash would actually be airplane, like, I don't know, if one of those planes died in space, you'd just be floating out there and floating away from the Earth, maybe, or something. That would suck. Anyways, my sense is that, like, because we say, like, why do it? It's like, well, that's the whole point, is that there's a sense of imagination and wonder that's captured by the big universe out there. So it makes sense as a species to push on those boundaries, even if we don't see the immediate return on why you would do something like that apart from travel and tourism. Like,
but again,
there's nothing out there, but there's a universe out there.
Just to interject, but I feel like that's what you just said outlines to me why governments have traditionally done it, because it is one of those things. It's like funding any kind of exploration is often done for, like, just to do it. You raise money. I mean, unless again it's an oil company paying a geologist to go survey for precious metals or oil or whatever. Often governments do those kinds of things because they are to further, you know, what we're doing all together. So I get that, but it's just like, I don't see how, like, it doesn't strike me that many companies are like, we're going to invest billions of dollars because it's the right thing to do and we want to advance humanity.
No, we need a visionary commercial leader. I mean, that's why Elon Musk, people write about him a lot, because I think it's bold to be that guy. Isn't Richard Branson one of those guys too?
But there's also, look, I work currently in sort of defense procurement, which is interesting in the analogy that you can make with space procurement, because when it comes to defense procurement, all those big fighter jets and tanks and everything, they're not made by the government. They're made by private companies that win contracts to develop them. And NASA gives out lots of private contracts as well, but there's a sizable amount of stuff that's done in-house, and there's advantages, disadvantages to giving out these contracts. Sometimes you can save a lot of money, especially if the capacity exists outside in a private company. You give them a contract to build a satellite, or to now we're at the stage where, like, companies like SpaceX can launch those satellites. I mean, there is an advantage to develop a private industry that is capable of contributing to governments' space exploration, because for a long time everything that was space related was pretty much done, at least the core parts of it were pretty much done by governments, like the space arm by the Canadian government, the Apollo program, all that sort of stuff is done by government. And there would be private sector contracting done at a smaller level, but now it's becoming done at a larger level, and I can see the advantages, but I can also see the disadvantages. The difference between it and military procurement is where you have to worry about like in the military procurement world, your private companies that you build up in your country selling to like despots or countries that are in states of unrest. With space procurement, like you're selling these spaceships or the equipment to build satellites or the capacity to launch things into space. It's a lot less, I guess, controversial in many ways. So I can see the advantage of creating that industry.
I don't know. I think we don't know what's around the corner. I just feel like it's really important for us to be like, I don't think it can be. I don't think there's enough going on in the world right now focused on space, right? Like, we should all be like, we're in a period of regression, right? Where we kind of don't care about space. Humanity's got enough problems. Trump's president of the United States. Things are shitty down here. What's the point of space? And like space is the big picture, not what we're dealing with here on the planet. So I feel like because there's stagnation, if private companies want to pick up the slack, that's great. If there's whatever the market or vision might be, I don't think we have to have a rational explanation for it. I don't think governments do it better. I think a lot of exploration has been funded privately by venture, people gambling on the New World back in whatever era that was, where they were sending out all the boats. What was what is the era? Is it the boat era?
1400s.
Boat
It's
era.
not
boat era.
It's not medieval times.
Colonialism.
Colonial time. Like, I mean,
colonial times.
sure, but that's how it was. Enterprising businessmen saying, "Hey, there's a new world out there." And I mean, to most people,
actually,
it probably
was governments. Like Christopher Columbus was funded by the King of Spain, I believe.
Yes. Oh, well, that was funding. I mean,
Spain or Portugal?
that's where you get your money from, but it's not the.
Well, that's what you're just saying. Like private industry pick up the slack. Like, I feel like these things are always kind of linked. Like, and again, like the commercial stuff, again, like we were saying earlier, wouldn't be happening if governments weren't involved. And as Crofton was saying, that like governments do this along with private enterprise all the time, in terms of subcontracts and, to manufacture this or that or whatever. So those things are always kind of intrinsically linked. For me, it's just kind of like I'm still curious about what, like, why or what it is, at the commercial end of it. And all I can really see in terms of revenue generating is that it's rich people going up there for tourism. And then I'm like, and you think of the resources needed. Like, so Elon Musk for sure is a visionary and there's some stuff he's doing. Like, he just announced like new roofing stuff that's also, is solar PVs embedded in your roofing tiles. And I'm like, that's great. Someone should have done that, feels like years ago. And he's got that kind of, and electric cars and stuff like that. But the space travel, I'm just like, where's really the return going to come from? And at the moment, I really see it. And so going to Mars and stuff sounds interesting. We talked about that. I think we did a whole episode on going to Mars. I don't remember what I said about it. But again, once you get there, it's like, what do you do there? And I get that it's science, discovery and stuff like that is going to happen, which again, makes me feel like it's more the realm of government sponsored to do it for its own sake. And I'm not against this. I'm totally for it. I just feel like most companies are doing things in order to generate a return on their investment. And for like a few of the small scale things, and I mean, these aren't small scale, but like travel around the globe more easily, satellites up in space, military applications. Those things I get, but in terms of like going out into the solar system, aside from asteroid mining, which I hear is still here is a thing way off there, I don't see what they're expecting to get.
Yeah,
So
but
it's like if you're Elon Musk and we want to send people to Mars, what possible return? Actually, I just thought of one, which wasn't there one where they were going to make it a reality TV show as well, which seems
they
so
won't make
sad.
back your money on a. No matter that's not.
They were, but
They
what
might make you
was
president,
that
though.
going to be
Look,
like?
look.
The one-way mission thing, and it was going to be all filmed and televised, and I'm like, man, that seems somehow
So
wrong.
here's the thing: is I think you can have lost leaders in business, and I think you can be the company that has, I don't know, does he still own PayPal? Like, or you can have a profit generating business that has a symbiotic relationship or a parasitic. You can have a company that's SpaceX that you have no idea how it's going to make money in the future, but it's very important for the identity, or just personally if you're the founder or you're the primary motivator, to have in your catalog. So Virgin has Virgin Mobile and has all these profit generating companies, and it's got its galactic division, which may never generate profit, but still very important. Somebody, because we sort of categorize companies as evil, but there are visionary people in there who are using the money to do the things that they dream to do, right? And for some people that's space exploration, and it is going to take money, and it is going to take people that are motivated to find a way to make money. So if if Loblaws, a big grocery chain here, if the guy who runs that place, what's that guy's name? Is he still alive? Dave Thomas? No, that's the Wendy's guy. Let's use the Wendy's guy. He's dead. Damn it. Inappropriate. Who's alive? Who's like makes for a goofy example? Who owns the business? Is also public facing person.
Like Zuckerberg? Well, I don't know what you're getting
Awesome,
at.
sure. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, although it's not super profitable. Let's say it's just generating tons of money. He's like, I'm doing a SpaceX program. I have no plans to make money. People are going to get behind it because Facebook generates money. They can use a portion of it to do the thing he thinks is cool. And maybe that does turn into profit generating, or maybe that creates a whole new world where we have Martians and we have Belters and we have people on Earth, and we're living in the expanse.
He's gone now. So
I'm not gone. You know I'm right. Like it's.
I don't. Here's the thing though, is like to Mike's point about like the money thing and companies chasing money. Like there, all these projects take multiple parts, right? And like anything from a fuel tank to like the machine that takes a plane to the runway or whatever. Procurements are happening all over the place, so they make. The companies will make short-term money on commercial space travel, even if that money is coming from taxpayer dollars through the government. But in terms of long-term, I get what he's saying. Like, what's the end goal for the company? And maybe it's like one that is completely imaginative right now, science fiction, like it's having a habitat on Mars in which that you're charging the super rich ton of money to go and stay on Mars, and maybe eventually it's something else, but it's being on the frontier of anything. So being on the cusp of the latest technology or industry is always going to be beneficial for your company, and being on the forefront of sort of this at the space race. Like, you think of all the things that we have got from NASA, everything from Tang to like to like jet engines and all that. Like, well, I mean, it's just stuff that's come from developing for space exploration. And I mean, I think that there's advantages there, but I do agree with Bo that it takes these people that have a certain level of passion to embark upon that. And right now, I don't think like there's a bunch of companies that are jumping into virtual reality, and Bo mentioned Facebook, and they decided that they're going to buy Oculus, and so for them, in terms of like making sort of a science fiction comparison, they decided we have the leadership of Facebook had a passion for it, but at the same point also realized, hey, we can make a lot of money with this pretty quickly, hopefully. where concurring with Mike's point, it's the long game. It's more the long game getting into sort of this space race. And part of me says the more the merrier, but another part of me is concerned because like I see these presidents, even Obama wrote this piece for CNN maybe a month ago about like how Mars is the next frontier and humanity has to commit itself to recommit itself to space travel. But really, he hasn't done a whole lot under his own watch on space travel. And George W. Bush, of all people, did a similar thing at the end of his term. He wrote something like or put out something about the importance of space travel. So you have these presidents that seem to only recognize that it's important at the end of their terms when they got nothing left to lose or whatever. It's like, oh, we really should have done that. Let's next guy push that forward. And so companies can maybe fill that void because right now it's growing bigger. And putting my cynic hat on, I don't see Donald Trump coming in and being like, yeah, space travel, let's do it.
I mean,
unless he was going to put a Trump hotel on the moon or something, which 2 weeks ago would have sounded ridiculous, but now is starting to sound more and more realistic.
If someone could say there's an affordable, let's say 10 grand, opportunity of a lifetime, Mike, you get to go to space. Does that not compel you at least a little bit? Does that not seem? It's almost how do you put a price tag on it? It's a very special thing. Well, I'm asking your honest opinion.
I don't know. There's honestly things I'd probably rather do.
Okay,
like...
Crofton, how about you?
Well,
space travel, 10 grand.
For like the idea of travel in general around the world, and I haven't seen anything close to everything that this planet has to offer, but still the idea.
But it doesn't offer space
travel,
right?
But the idea of it, even like you go up a tall building and get a view of the city, it's always like takes your breath away and that sort of stuff. Like if there was a reasonable amount of money that I could spend, and 10 grand, honestly, to go up to space, that's a bargain. Like I don't think we're going to be there. Close to there in my lifetime, but yeah, I would do it.
Yeah, I think that sounds like money well spent. I think that if someone can bring the price down, even if that's for a day. I mean, I've dreamt many days of just like what was space like. It's cool. It's immeasurably cool in a way that like nothing else is. And I know Mike's not wrong. It's just a big empty vacuum. Like it's a big pile of fucking nothing, right? Like,
to be fair though, Bo, you've often dreamt of what Anaheim is like, and you've never been there either.
That's true. That's true.
Like,
I wouldn't.
You've been.
He's trying to say that Blizzard Entertainment is like the equivalent of space travel for me, in that I've been to neither, but I don't know if they're in Anaheim. Yeah.
I'm just saying to you that like I do find it ironic that you have this desire or urge for space travel when in fact you do land travel.
Because land is boring. Space is very compelling.
You haven't been any place interesting. Like,
but I think in a way, I'll have visited the entire planet by seeing it all with my eye from space.
Yeah, I agree that looking down at the Earth, I'm sure would be a breathtaking and humbling experience, and one that probably anyone could appreciate, but it's also highly like I just think of it as like to do it just seems so kind of egotistical to be like, I'm gonna go up there and look at the planet. There's like 1 billion people, but they're like, I will drop $1 million, that guy that spent $1 million on himself to go up there and look. And I think it's one thing when we choose astronauts and it's a government sponsor to be like, we're doing this together, is how it feels, is different than the vanity of just being like a wanted. And and we talked about travel a lot and agreed that that's basically what that is too, and this is just another component of it, I guess, except the scale of cost and energy usage is like crazy. Like just in terms of like, if it was commercialized and people were flying into space all the time, like the amount of energy it takes to get out of the atmosphere is like massive. Like if you had rockets going up all the time, which we do, like they're spewing tons of pollution. There's repercussions to stuff like this, and to get something into space, it's like it doesn't really make any sense. And this is often the the kind of argument against space travel, which is kind of a simplistic one. It's like, well, we got all these problems down here, why don't we focus on those, and then once we got those under control, then let's look at space. And I feel
then we would never look at space.
Well, that's probably true because people, but I mean, part of it is maybe like you wonder how much does one affect the other. Like we don't look at problems because people are focused on like, well, I want to go to space and I don't care about, starving people or pollution or whatever. I want space and so maybe they're a bit related in that people's egos or visions are moving in one direction and you're leaving a whole other thing behind unaddressed. And I do feel like the resources, we were saying, okay, so Elon Musk, we're talking about him a lot, obviously. He's this billionaire with this vision for the future, and that's interesting. But then you think of like, I would have, and I think he sounds like a really interesting guy, and I appreciate his vision, especially on a lot of energy stuff. But then you think of like Bill Gates, and it's like his massive wealth, which he's basically just is like seems to be trying to go through a laundry list of world problems that they can address and are making like headway on. And I feel like, to me, if you're a benevolent billionaire, it's like, don't put us in Mars. I know it's like you'll be in the history books if you do, more so than someone who got rid of like hookworm in Africa or something. But I just feel like if you're really trying to help out the human race,
Yeah, help us
there's
help
there's
deal
better
with food
projects for
shortages.
billions than
There's
the
food
like-
shortages, climate change. I'm sure there's a lot of things you could do.
I would point out that neither of those benevolent billionaires became president, though.
No, well, they weren't smart enough.
No, clearly not. um, I'm pretty much ready to go verdicts. I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys
I'm good
got
too.
more.
Yeah, I
All
think-
right,
I think
so all right, let me bring in the farm animals here, and let's get the verdict time going. Here they come. Order in the cart. All right, it's verdictizing time. Who would like to step forth
I'll go
first? All right.
Because I feel like there was a certain odor in the air when we were talking about this. I was
wasn't
getting
me.
whiffs of something.
There's no oxygen up here, Mike.
Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah.
It was a
So
fart.
yeah, I'll just go and say I think this topic is bullshit, and the commercial spaceflight is bullshit.
All right.
Whoa. And the reason for that is it's like I do think that forward thinking and innovation that comes from trying to do something big and great, like going to Mars or going to space, is noble. But in some ways, I kind of like when it's government driven, in the sense that if it's done by governments or cooperation of governments, then it feels like we've done it. It's something that the human race can be proud of. But I feel like when it's driven by commercial interests, it's kind of like, well, who did it then? The rich because of vanity and ego, and they're like, because I can, and what else am I going to spend my billions on? I may as well go to space, the space hotel, the Trump space hotel, and enjoy my life. It's like, I'm like, that does not make me feel like we accomplished anything, and I do think that argument about like the resources invested could be put to better use. I'm not saying we should give up on space flight, but and space travel, but so I don't know. That's why it's coming out on bullshit, because I really think it's sort of a mixed bag of like, really, billions there. There's better things to spend it on. That's my 2 cents.
All right. Well, I'll let Crofton go last. I'll take the next crack at it. The space has always been cool to me. It's hard to talk about a topic about space and not just feel like, do it. I do agree with what Mike had to say, that if it is very expensive right now to solve the space problem. We're essentially fighting against gravitational pulls of our solar system. You know what I mean? Like, we're fighting against the gravitational pull of Earth, and it takes a lot of resources to get out there. It isn't easy. It's a giant freaking planet's gravitational force we're fighting here, and it's very expensive. And the world outside of the Earth is incredibly hostile and toxic for us. There isn't a planet in the solar system that is... There's like no reason, as Mike said, there's no reason to be out there, and we have plenty of problems to solve. However, space is super important there is a whole world of stuff we don't know, and part of it, a lot of many scientists have learned a lot of things just observing it, using light, using all kinds of methods and mathematics to figure out what it is that's out there. But there's really no replacement for going and seeing yourself. And I think though, what's the point of being human? Like, we explore, we learn things, these things enrich our lives, knowing makes it better. There's a whole world of unknowable out there. And I don't blame anyone for being fascinated by it. I think it's cool and I'm fascinated by it. I want somebody to get us into freaking space because we need to iterate on space travel. I didn't get to talk about my big idea is that for really space travel to work in the long run, we have to fundamentally change our physiology. I'm thinking we become beings of energy. They're shaking their heads at me so hard right now.
Beings of energy. I don't think he's thought
because
this through.
we probably could survive the rigors of travel without having organic bodies, but yet having our consciousness. And I feel like there's something to that there. It's not just science fiction, although it is. But
start a Kickstarter.
Beings of
Download
energy
Bo's
research.
brain into a computer.
Look, it
for the
might
good of
not
the
be
self.
hive mind. It might just be that we're beings of energy and we stream energy to share thoughts with one another. But we have to start somewhere. We can't just jump right to being beings of energy. That doesn't work yet. So we've got to go out there. We've got to do this. And I don't care who it is or what kind of a douchebag you are. If you were on Team Space, I'm on your team. And I'll overlook some of your bad shit because you're on Team Space. So all that to say is commercial space exploration, pretty fucking good. Yeah, baby. It's good. All right, Crofton, you go ahead. Follow that one up.
Bo's like, I will overlook some of that stuff. I just see him working with like Idi Amin or something like that, or like Kim Jong-un. There's all these prisoners being executed in the background, but they're launching rockets in the foreground. Bo's like, I support this dude. He knows what he's talking about. But yeah, I had a hard time with this one. I'll be honest, and because part of me agrees with both of what you're saying, and honestly, when it comes to like space travel, space exploration, I really want to get my Neil deGrasse Tyson on and be as enthusiastic as possible, and let's bring in these companies and all that. But then I thought about it a little bit about the topic we actually drew, which wasn't like private investments in space exploration. It was commercial space travel, which is more specific. It is essentially billionaires or people who are able to afford whatever these tickets are, traveling up to space and looking down on the world and feeling good about themselves and that sort of thing. And as much as I would, enjoy that opportunity if I had the money and that sort of thing, I would. I can't say that in itself is a good thing. I do think there's a benefit to having more private players in the space exploration game. I agree with Mike that it needs to be, government driven and is sort of an expression of our collective imagination. And I would want to see private corporations help us get there. But their eyes are going to be on their bottom line, and to do like those sort of flights into space, aside from the high atmosphere fast travel ones that may be somewhat beneficial or maybe push travel forward on this planet, I don't really see enough positive there that I can say that it's anything else than bullshit. Bullshit.
Well, you heard it.
So I'm
There's
going
the
to say
cow.
commercial space travel. That's I gotta differentiate that from
Sure.
just
Government
companies.
space exploration.
Yeah, and I don't think one will replace just because companies are in it. I don't think governments will be like, oh, they're doing it now, we're out of it. I like the everybody being involved, especially because I worry that there'll sometimes be governmental gaps. But at the same point, I really think the idea of commercial space travel, like, hey, look, let's travel. Oh, look, we're looking at Earth. There's the moon. Oh, this is awesome. Is kind of bullshit.
Let's play David Bowie in the background.
Nice. Actually, I changed my verdict. It's good.
Oh, yeah, that'd be me. Yeah. So, listener, if you have an opinion about commercial space travel and want to let us know why you agree with Bo or why you agree with Crofton
Beings
or
of
I,
energy.
or why it's bad. Maybe it's bad. Please let us know. We'd like to hear from you. You can find all our contact information and listen to the show at our website, goodbadbull.com. You can also email us, goodbadbull@gmail.com. Send us a tweet at goodbadbull, or like us on Facebook, and you could message us there. You can, if you haven't subscribed to the show, you can do so at Google Play or iTunes. Give us a 5-star review if you want, or a 1-star review if you want. You have free will. Also, we have a Patreon. We have some Patreon supporters, and we would like to thank them for their continued support. We really do appreciate it. It makes the show keep on chugging along. And if you'd like to support us, you go to patreon.com/goodbadbull. And you can follow us all individually if you'd like. Bo, where can our listeners follow your musings?
They can follow my thoughts about being beings of light energy on Twitter. You know, if you just want to see the other radio shows that I do, I tweet about them, so you can see it there. So, Bo Schwartz on Twitter.
And Crofton, where can people follow what you say and think?
They can follow me trying to lobby Elon Musk to fund my next great idea of becoming beings of light that travel through space.
That's not your idea.
Yeah, it's my idea. Trademark Crofton Steers at Crofton Steers on Twitter.
Man, the ensuing legal battle will be epic and furious.
And you can follow me at ML Hodgins. When you were talking about the beings of light and stuff like that, it occurred. There's the whole thing I find funny and interesting, and it's not funny. It's actually kind of.
It occurred to me that so much is wrong with that.
So much is wrong with that, but I feel like that's
energy.
self-evident that I'm not even going to talk about that. But what I do want to talk about is that all this talk about going to Mars, and this one-way trip, and people like talking about 10 years out, we want to have people on Mars, and it's always like makes big media headlines, and the kind of elephant in the room with that is that anytime you hear an astronaut talk about it or science people who actually understand the science, you're like, those people are probably gonna die horribly, because as soon as you get outside of the kind of Earth shielding of the radiation out there, and then Mars itself, it's like you're just bathed in terrible radiation and all kinds of other things that are going to kill you. It's awful. And I feel like to make a reality show of us watching these people go to die is really morbid, and
also
it's sad, and I'm not really in support of it.
Forgetting the radiation alone
for a long time.
No, forgetting the radiation alone, the Mars surface is literally toxic. 1 millisecond, a little puncture in your suit or anything like that, you're dead. It will
and apparently
destroy
the dust is like some parts of it are like glass particles that are just like, it's really,
there's no way we're living on
Mars
there. But
get your ass to Mars.
Get your ass to Mars.
How is it, like if it takes so much energy and all this, how is it that Iron Man was able to break the atmosphere so easily? He had an arc reactor. I remember.
He's a billionaire too. He's like the Elon Musk of superheroes, right?
If this showed a throttle button, I'd throttle you right now for your lack of scientific understanding. Oh, arc reactor. But yeah, so that's like the very basic things people don't get. Like, oh yeah, we'll go to, or even just it's really interesting to me that humans have gone into space. That's a really neat idea. But people are always like, you'll hear people say like, oh, our problems and climate change, we're going to need to colonize Mars or for the human race to continue. And what I always feel like saying to those people, it's like, it's not like we just exist and then we can go other places. We exist because of the Earth. Like, we evolved to be adapted to it, not to any place else. Like, this is the place for us. It's perfect for us, and we're fucking it up, and it's really annoying, but there's no place else for us. If we go to Mars, it's not going to work. We're going to die.
He sounds like Bill Nye right now. Bill Nye is the first to tell you.
Well, no, but it's just a reality.
We're not going anywhere. Save this planet. It would take
right now. We could change
the amount of energy you would expend to colonize Mars. If you applied it to Earth, you would reap the benefits like 100,000 times over.
And aside from
we could
that,
just
it's
terraform Earth. Don't terraform this planet.
And it's not even like when you have astronauts that just spend like a few months in space, like they have major problems when they come back. Bone density losses, like heart problems. Like, we are not meant to be in anti-gravity or even low gravity. Like, we're built to live on this planet. That's where we evolved. There's no
Right.
place else for us. So I'm just like, people, come on.
Yes, so that's
Like-
where Mike left out the part where he felt I was right that space travel necessitated a physiological change into an energy being of energy. Because then we could survive more of the
let's save that
rigors
for
out there.
'Cause I
He
got lots
just
to say
forgot
about-
to say it, Crofton. You did. He said it really
He does,
quietly.
it sounds like he's on the beams of light train
Yes, exactly.
that I started.
I'm on the like. Let's just
No.
try to live here.
We
on
heard
Earth
you,
and not
Mike. We
kill each
understand
other
what you
or
were
the-
trying to say. We got it.
Elon, call me.
All right, great show, guys. Great
I
show.
would call Elon Musk and be like, "Your solar roofing panel ideas, awesome. The space thing, yeah. I mean,
And he'd be like, "You sound really boring. You're not fun at parties. Get me Crofton."
He's an American. He doesn't talk weird like that.
No,
he's South African."
Yeah, but
South
he's
African.
like he lived in America. Like
Nope,
I've heard an
he
interview
sounds
with
like
him.
a
He
South
sounds
African.
normal. He sounds like a normal. Oh my god.
Oh,
Fucking racist, Bo.
This is why Elon Musk never calls you.
Yeah, call me, buddy.
Call me Elon.
All right, live stream. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching the show. I will find a place to end it, as I always do.
As he always does.
And yeah, thanks for watching. And go subscribe to us and support us and give that 1-star review Michael told you to do. All right, take care.
Review. I'd
He's
take
so-
a 1-star review. At
I
this
did.
point.
We have 0 stars. I think we've gotten no new ones except for my mom and maybe Tracy. So
No,
Well-
she didn't give us any, did she?
On
ta-ta for
On,
now. She did on Stitcher.
the
I did-
iTunes store you're talking about?
All
Is
right.
that what we're talking
Bye,
about?
live
iTunes
stream.
still.
Bye.